What does it take to not just survive the music industry, but to completely control the global conversation? In July 2026, the entire internet came to a grinding halt. Rumors turned into reality as headlines broke that Taylor Swift had just married NFL star Travis Kelce in a secret, breathtaking ceremony at Madison Square Garden. Photos of her custom Dior gown flooded every screen, shattering social media records in a matter of minutes. But this level of absolute cultural dominance didn't happen by accident. In the history of modern entertainment, artists rise and fall like the seasons. Yet Taylor Swift has rewritten the rules of stardom entirely, from a Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania to a global economic powerhouse capable of moving tectonic plates with her fans. Footsteps. This is not just the story of a pop star. This is the anatomy of a cultural empire. This is the life of a legend, Taylor Allison Swift. Every empire has a definitive origin point, but Taylor Swift's began with an obsession that baffled everyone around her, including her own family. While other 10-year-olds were playing sports, Taylor was calling local radio stations, demanding they play her homemade demo tapes. She grew up on a Christmas tree farm, a picturesque beginning that masked a fierce, almost terrifying drive. At age 11, she convinced her mother to take her to Nashville, Tennessee. Her mission? To walk into every single record label on Music Row and drop off a tape of her singing karaoke covers. She was rejected by every single one. But failure didn't break her. It taught her a critical lesson. In a room full of pretty voices, the only thing that mattered was the story. She went home, locked herself in her room, and practiced until her fingers bled, learning to write her own songs. By age 14, her father made a massive gamble, relocating the entire family to Hendersonville, Tennessee, just so Taylor could be closer to the heart of country music. Imagine being a teenager in high school, walking down the hallway, and hearing the person next to you whispering a rumor about you, only to realize that next week, that exact rumor would become a Billboard charting single. In Nashville, a rising music executive named Scott Borchetta spotted Taylor performing at the Bluebird Cafe. He was starting a tiny, independent label called Big Machine Records. He had no money, no major distribution, and no guarantees. Taylor signed anyway. In 2006, she released her self-titled debut album. What happened next changed the music industry forever. While traditional country music focused on older audiences, Taylor tapped into a goldmine, the teenage psyche. She became one of the first artists to use a new platform called MySpace to talk directly to her fans. She wasn't just a singer on a stage. She was the best friend who knew exactly how your first heartbreak felt. With her second album, Fearless, she didn't just cross over into pop. She shattered records, becoming the youngest artist in history at the time to win the prestigious Grammy for Album of the Year. She was at the top of the world. But the higher you climb, the harder the world tries to pull you down. It is the most uncomfortable 30 seconds in television history. A 19-year-old girl stands on stage, holding an award she dreamed of, only for a grown man to walk up, rip the microphone from her hand, and tell the world she didn't deserve it. The 2009 VMAs could have ruined Taylor Swift's career. When Kanye West interrupted her acceptance speech, the crowd began to boo. But in Taylor's head, she thought they were booing her. The psychological toll was immense, but her response was calculated brilliance. Instead of hiding, she went back into the studio. Her response was the 2010 album Speak Now, written entirely, 100% by herself, with no co-writers, just to prove her critics wrong. She followed it with Red in 2012, an album that featured All Too Well, a track that wasn't even a radio single, yet became hailed by critics as one of the greatest heartbreak anthems ever written. Taylor was outgrowing country music. She was a pop star trapped in a country singer's guitar case. And in 2014, she decided to break the case wide open. How do you go from being America's sweetheart to the most hated woman on the internet overnight? By winning too much. In 2014, Taylor moved to New York, chopped her hair, and released 1989, her first official, full-blown pop album. It was a commercial juggernaut. It spawned 3 number-one singles, sold over 1 million copies in its first week, and won her a second Album of the Year Grammy. But the media shifted. Suddenly, her friend groups were called cliques. Her dating life was mocked on late-night television. And then, a heavily edited, recorded phone call leaked by Kim Kardashian and Kanye West made it look like Taylor was a liar. The internet exploded. The snake emoji flooded her comment sections. Millions of people tweeted hashtag Taylor Swift is over party. For the first time in a decade, Taylor Swift completely vanished from the public eye. No interviews, no sightings, no music. The world thought she was done. They had no idea she was just waiting for the right moment to strike. When Taylor Swift finally broke her silence in 2017, she didn't apologize. She held up a mirror to the media and said, "The old Taylor can't come to the phone right now." Why? Oh, 'cause she's dead. The Reputation era proved that Taylor could weaponize the very hate used against her. She sold out stadiums worldwide without doing a single magazine interview. But just as she regained her footing, she faced her greatest betrayal yet. In 2019, her former record label sold her entire master recordings, the actual physical audio files of her first 6 albums, to Scooter Braun, a man she publicly accused of bullying her for years. Decades of her hard work, her teenage diaries, her blood, sweat, and tears were bought by someone else. She couldn't buy them back. Most artists would accept defeat, sue, or retire. Taylor chose a nuclear option that shocked Wall Street and the music industry. She announced she would simply re-record every single one of those 6 albums from scratch, labeling them Taylor's version. She didn't just take her music back. She convinced her fans to completely abandon the old versions, making the originals financially worthless to the billionaires who bought them. It was a masterclass in corporate warfare. In 2023 and 2024, cities around the Earth reported actual seismic activity, literal earthquakes, not from nature, but from the synchronized jumping of Taylor Swift's fans. During the pandemic, while the world was locked down, Taylor pivoted again, releasing the indie folk masterpieces Folklore and Evermore, proving her songwriting could stand alone without pop production. Folklore won her a 3rd Album of the Year Grammy, followed later by Midnights, which won her a historic 4th. All of this culminated in the Eras Tour, the highest-grossing concert tour in human history, surpassing $1 billion. It boosted the U.S. economy by over $5 billion, prompting world leaders to beg her to bring her tour to their countries. From a rejected 11-year-old girl in Nashville to a billionaire businesswoman who dictates the terms of streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, Taylor Swift has achieved something rare. She didn't just chase the cultural zeitgeist. She became it. She survived the critics, the executives, the cancellations, and the heartbreaks, turning every single drop of pain into poetry, and every piece of poetry into gold. Her music is the soundtrack to a generation, and her career is a blueprint for ultimate resilience. Taylor Swift didn't just build a career. She built an immortal legacy. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of a legend, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment on which Taylor Swift era is your absolute favorite. And turn on notifications for more legendary stories right here on Life of Legend. See you in the next video.